Me. All right, well, let's get started because all the candidates are here. Um, first, let's do just board and staff, like just New York current board and staff, quick intro so people know who everyone is, and then we'll do the candidates. And there's some overlap, obviously. Um, Hi, I'm BCAP, she, her, hers. I'm the current board president. I've been on the board since 2021. And what's like a fun thing I could say? Is there a fun thing people want to throw out?
You started Brooklyn League.
Oh, I meant like a fun fact,
Oh,
like for everyone to answer. Okay, yeah. What's one thing? Okay, yeah. Let's do like the second part of the prompt. Quick prompt is just what's something you've been involved with. So I've been very involved in the Brooklyn adult spring and fall leagues for like 10 years. Uh, let's go to Colin.
Hi, Colin. He, him pronouns, Director of Operations. Been with this New York coming on 7 or 8 years. And a fun thing that I've been involved in is keeping in touch with the college organizations as a coach, as an organizer, as a tournament director. Uh, Despite any other roles I have, I try to stay involved with the college. I'll pass it over to Zach.
Hello, I'm Zach. I am the secretary on the board. I think I joined in 2021. Are you sure you were in 2020, BCAP? I always get these years mixed up. I don't know. Maybe I
Pretty
was the
sure
all right. Well,
because it
anyway,
was during COVID.
right. And I guess the elections 2020 would have been right before COVID. But I'm yes, I've been on the board 4 years, secretary, which isn't any different than any other position in almost every aspect. And I kind of spearheaded the Pay What You Can program and also the Indoor Beach organization, which had its first week on Friday. And hopefully, all of you will get a chance to do that at some point because it's really fun.
I think you got to pick someone. You got to kick it.
Y'all
Yeah,
are
you
so
have to
needy.
popcorn.
Okay. All right. How about Kyla?
Sure. Hi, my name is Kyla Dayer. I use she, her pronouns. I've been on the board 3 years. Will not be returning for 2025, but a couple of things I did was managing the social media account along with BCAP. Sam helped a lot too. And then I brought back the happy hours every few months, which were a nice way to get the community together. Can pass it off to Sam.
Hello, I am Sam, they, them pronouns. I am DiscNY's youth programs coordinator. So right now that's a lot of high school league stuff and try you, but some clinics and working on building some middle school programming out. Um, I've officially lost track of the thing that we're supposed to be saying because, okay.
Just
So,
what you're involved in. Try you.
Try you, I do some graphic design for stuff. I do some odds and ends here and there. And I help coordinate college in the Metro East as well because that's where I went to college. But I'm around. I play frisbee. I do some organizing. I do some graphic design. We, um, Shannon.
Do we want to finish the non-candidate board members first, or is it fine to
Oh
just go?
yeah, sure. Delaney, you and then Shannon.
Hi, my printer's going off, so I'm sorry. I'm Ryan Delaney, he, him pronouns, and I am the programs coordinator. So I do all like the day-to-day events and getting people registered and making permits and all that good stuff. I'm coming up on, well, I'm like a year, 13 months into working for New York, and it's been great. And something I've been super proud of in my tenure was the adult learning leagues with a lot of help from Erin. But yeah, that's been super exciting and going better than expected. So hoping that goes even better in 2025. And I guess I will kick it back to Shannon.
what
Is
about
that
Otto?
Yeah,
Oh,
what about
let's see,
Otto?
Otto. Okay, Otto.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Otto. He, him. This is my second year on the board. Um, the second year of my term as an at-large member. Um, Something I'm proud of or have been working on a little bit has been kind of improving our McCarran pickup, which is close to home. And then similar to Sam, um, just odds and ends here and there. I was actually talking to them about hopefully joining some youth programming in the future when my schedule kind of allows it. So hopefully that's in my near future.
Okay, now I will actually go.
Yes.
I'm Shannon, she, her. I am just finishing my first term on the board and rerunning. I have a lot of work I'm working on right now with a gala and the New York Roadrunner partnership for our first ever United Half charity bibs. So really excited about all those projects. And I don't really play very much anymore. I dabble in some of the leagues. But really, I like to pour my heart into the board and all the back end administrative stuff because details are my favorite things.
And then Matt for our last current and
Hi.
candidate.
Yeah, I'm Matt McLaughlin, he, him pronouns. Most of y'all might know me as MCL. I've played for a long time in New York. Most of the work I do for the board involves finance, fundraising, and getting all the thankless stuff on the back end aligned. One of the things I help organize for the community currently is Men's Masters, and I'm working with Julie Sussman and Ruthie to bring Masters Regionals to and BCAP to Blue Sky.
Local stuff we love. Amazing. So let's hear from Erin. Just do your quick intro.
Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Erin. Started playing 2010, but that was in the Philippines, and then I migrated here in the US 2022. Started playing with Brooklyn people in Prospect Park 2024. No, 2023. And I've worked with Ryan with Adult Learning League. So we just finished the spring, summer, and fall league. We skipped winter because it's cold. Hopefully next year we'll have like a winter beginner league. So um, that's it.
Amazing. And then Katie.
Hi, I'm Katie Walker. Last year I helped to start one of the high school teams in the high school league. Worked closely with Sam. Oh, I'm sorry, she, her pronouns. I use she, her pronouns. We worked closely with Sam to start a team. Both of my boys play on the team now, and one of my older son was on Try U last year and will be trying out again this year. And my younger son wants to try out this year. And yeah, I had a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun with Ultimate, learning about it and being part of it, even though I'm not a player. I really love the community, so thought it would be an interesting way to be part of it, to go on board.
Amazing. And hi, community members who are hiding. Thanks for joining. So what we'll do is I'll just ask one or two basic questions of the candidates, and then we can go to anyone else who's here and has a question. So yeah, the first one is just very basic of why are you running for the board? So why are you running for the board, and if there's anything you'd like to add about your experience that you would bring. Uh, let's start with Shannon.
I am running to keep working on all my projects actually so that they can come to fruition. I feel like the first year on the board, it's a lot of like figuring out how the processes work, all the different dynamics, how you work with different parks, people, permits, everything. And so now in the second year, I was really able to start creating all these projects. And as Colin coins it, it's our passion projects, right? And which hats we're wearing. And so I really started diving into how do we expand our income instead of just relying on programs, because obviously we want youth to have as many experiences as possible. So we're our adult programmings cover a lot as well. And so we wanted, though, as everything keeps getting more and more expensive, how do we bring in other types of money? And so I'm a big runner now. I run with New York Road Runners. And I know that they have these charity bibs. So that was one of the biggest things I've been championing the last probably 6 months now is how do we like all you do is you pay for somebody to get a bib, they fundraise for you, pretty easy money. And so that was one of the projects that will come to fruition. I think the race is March the 16th. We have 5 community members signed up and already off to the races fundraising. So that was one of the big projects I'm excited to keep getting to work on. And then the other one is the gala. I think is really important, especially in New York City, where we're all pretty siloed in our different boroughs, is to come together and have a big reason to come together to celebrate all of our successes. And also, it's a really great fundraiser and more opportunities to bring in money that's not just actually throwing the frisbee, but really celebrating why we have a community and why we throw around a plastic disc. So we're really excited for those 2 opportunities, and that's pretty much the main reasons I'm running is to keep working on those.
Thanks, Shannon. What about Katie next?
Sure. I decided to run for the board because as we learned a lot about starting these teams, as we started the one with my kids, we learned that there's a lot of things that we encounter that are not ideal when dealing with the high school league. And I really just want to support DiscNY in any way that we can to make that better. And to connect it, like as my kids grow, obviously they're not going to be teenagers forever, but I do have a lot of roots in the Brooklyn community of parents. And I can see how Ultimate has really been such a great thing for our family. My kids came from soccer, which was fine, but also really intense and like not amazing for their like mental health. It was and so it was disappointing when soccer didn't like work out for them. And when they found frisbee, it was just like something that they could be good at, that they loved doing, and now they're like addicted. So I see that and I see how much better they are feeling about their sports, and I recommend it to like every parent. One of the people who's on this call, Robbie Siegel, and then Alan Salzberg, is that Saltzman? Sorry. Those are the other parent manager and the coach of our team. And we all have really seen our kids grow on this team. And I just think it's so cool. I love talking about it with the other parents, talking about like the spirit of the game. When we learned that all about it and read about it and learned just how the kids all like take ownership of the rules and figuring things out on their own, it was really cool. Anyways, in my personal life, I am the deputy executive director for the 14th Street Y. So I run another nonprofit, and I handle all operations and logistics and budgets. I love details also, Shannon. They are some of my favorite. And I just feel like using the passion that everyone here seems to have and some new creativity, ideas for logistics, etc., we can do a lot of cool things to get new kids and build pipelines for them to grow in the sport.
Amazing. Thank you. And then how about Erin, for why you're running?
So I started working with DiscNY when I volunteered for one coaching session with the PE teachers. And when Ryan was explaining to me like the potential of the sport in New York, I'm like, this is like a really great thing, you know. Initially, I just like wanted to learn how you guys do it, because when I'm planning to go back to the Philippines and like also do the things that you're doing so we can like incorporate it in our country. But now I see that like the beginners, adult beginners, there's not a lot of adult beginners in New York, which like gave us the idea of like maybe like having beginners adult league would be a great thing, because I also went to this Empire game, and there wasn't a lot of audience, and I would think like there is like a big potential to have more audience if there's more adults, who knows how to play, because um, like when you're passionate about a sport, you actually support the professionals teams. So that's what like I was like dreaming of having, have more audience for Empire and New York Gridlock. Um, and really just I just really want to teach or coach people. Um, that's it.
Amazing. Thanks, Erin. And then Matt next.
Yeah, I came in halfway through a cycle, which is normally 2 years. So I've had about 11 months under me so far. Um, and it's been one of those things where the more I've looked, the more I realize how much technical debt there is in the organization, right? We've been around for a while. We've had a lot of treasurers, we've had a lot of different people come and go, and they've all left their mark on how we do things over the years. And so what I'm hoping to accomplish first couple months of this year is simplify and align all of that so that we can have a proper forward-looking budgeting process, so that we can set league pricing for the full year at the start of the year, and then know how much money we're going to make in and about where we're going to end the year. Yeah, it's a huge undertaking. In the middle of it, and I'm looking forward to 2 more years of working on that.
Thanks, y'all. Um, do any board or staff members have a question they want to ask after hearing from everyone? I just want to put that out there. Okay. What about community from who's here? Does anyone have a question for the candidates? You can put it in the chat or come off mute.
While the community is thinking here, I don't necessarily have a question. I just wanted to commend Katie and say how awesome it is that we have a board member coming on who is not a Frisbee player. And that isn't to say that I don't think Frisbee players do a good job on the board, but I am so pumped to have diverse representation. And we talk about that all the time. And this is a kind of diversity we've never had. And so for people to run for the board not playing the sport themselves, I think just shows extra commitment to making this make a difference in people's lives. And I know you have that firsthand experience through your children, but yeah, you don't have to answer anything or respond, but everything you can frame the next few questions with don't with that in mind. Like, don't worry about not having experience in the sport. Not that you were, but I see it entirely as a positive that
Yeah.
that you don't play, and I'm so excited to work with you. And Erin, as well, I feel like I should say, international members and international frisbee, as some people on this call can attest to, are my favorite things and the reason I do this. And so to have as many international voices on the board as well, I just feel like we're getting such an infusion of diversity that we haven't really had before. And both of you make me really excited here. So thanks. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. I'll have to say, on my part, it's all pretty much thanks to Sam, who recommended that I go for the board. So thanks, Sam.
Yay. Yeah, I'm also super excited. And just to state the maybe obvious, everyone's running unopposed. So that's why Zach is saying you will.
Sorry, spoilers.
So yeah. Otto went off mute really quick. Did you have a question, Otto?
I did not. I was going to say something, the spoilers thing.
Oh. Yeah, so I guess if people think of questions, just like throw it in the chat. But I'm curious what ideas you all have. I mean, we heard, we know from Shannon and Matt, like what their plans are. But I'm curious, I guess, Katie and Erin, what ideas you have that you would be passionate about championing in your first year or so on the board. So either one of you.
I can start if that's okay.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite things to do are systems, improving systems and streamlining things, making them easier for everyone, better, more efficient. So I love a good system look and overhaul where it's needed. And I'd be happy to help in that way in any place that it's needed. Um, I'm really interested in a couple of things like streamlining. Like I noticed on DiscNY's site, there's a really built out way to uh, get financial assistance. And I noticed the same thing when my kids did Try You, and it was really great. But one of the things that I think would be able to further that would be to create like um, almost like a kit or something with language and stuff that we can give to the high school teams so that they can turn around and raise money, give them ideas for raising money, and then how they can distribute financial aid for their USAU fees or the uniforms or going to tournaments or anything like that. I think that it's very possible and probable that a lot of the teams don't necessarily offer it because they don't really have like the infrastructure. So that would be something that would be interesting to be able to give to them. And then I would be very interested myself in helping Sam and the other people who run the youth stuff to just literally help them do whatever they need. So, and help to make things better where it's needed, or to be an advocate with USAU or the New York City schools or the Parks Department, who I also have some experience dealing with through my work. So, yeah, that kind of stuff I would love to help with.
Okay, so I'm gonna continue working with Ryan on building a more structured adult learning league because, like, initially, like, we were just, teaching from experience, but then someone asked us like they wanted to duplicate it with the lockdown, and like I couldn't give out like how I was doing the coaching or like the leagues, and I'm like, oh, it's like a good thing to have, like, as Katie was saying, a structured um, system for the adult learning league. So we're gonna try to make that for this year. So even if like the volunteers who initially started it is not like working with a DiscNY anymore, they have a reference of what can be done or what can be improved. I also want to try the grassroots program. So I saw football kids in Prospect Park. They're just, kicking balls like toddlers. And I was teaching kids also in the Philippines. So we were using foam disc, and it actually flies. It's a disc from Decathlon, and it's very safe for toddlers. The goal is just, to let them enjoy throwing disc randomly. So like when they grow up, they're in their middle school or high school, they actually want to play ultimate, and then that's going to be Katie's um, problem now. So hopefully, like in the summertime, maybe we can try one in Prospect Park or Brooklyn area. So
Cool. I've never heard of that. I want to give them to my nephews to try because the plastic disc is too heavy for little hands. Um, okay. I have another question, but again, if anyone thinks of something, just like raise your hand or put it in the chat. I guess for everyone, what are some ideas you have for bringing new people into the community, or bringing not only to like to play, or also to volunteer? Um, and I guess, yeah, how do you think about growing the Dis New York and Ultimate community in New York? And some, I guess, ideas or strategies for that. And should we be even doing that? Um, anyone who wants to start can go ahead.
um, I guess one aspect I was like thinking of is like people who speak Spanish. We need more people who speak, English and Spanish. So when we teach, it's easier for us. When we were teaching here in Brooklyn Parade Grounds, Dan, who's like my the another coach for the Adult Learning League, noticed that there were like Spanish adults who got interested in frisbee, but like Dan knew how to speak Spanish, but like I didn't. So it's like I realized that maybe that's one aspect that we can improve, to help them like feel more welcome, that even if they don't understand like a lot of English, they can still play. It's like migrant thing. They're scared because like they're new, and they're not fluent with the language, so they're scared to ask. But Dan was like kind enough to like talk to them, and he explained it, and they were very interested. But it was like late, so they said like, well, they'll try it next time. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I could go next. One of the things that I think is a little bit of a disconnect right now in DiscNY is the knowledge of everything that DiscNY has for the people who are part of it. I know that, for example, when I started to read a lot more about this during this process, I was telling my boys who are high school students, as I already mentioned, about all of the other programs that DiscNY has, and they were like, there's like adult leagues and there's all these things, and they were just kind of like really surprised. So then it made me think that there's possibly that the people who are participating in the adult leagues also might not know that there's kid stuff going on. So finding ways to do intergenerational frisbee, and maybe even like mentorship type stuff. I know that one of the things that happened with my son after Try-U is at the end of the year, the coaches said, let us know if you want feedback on your playing. And he said he did. And so they emailed him, feedback on his playing and how he could improve. And he like got that, and he's like printed it out. He's all excited. He's like thinking about how he's gonna like get all these things done and like who he can ask for help. And so like I think that doing a little bit more of that, like from older players who, even if they're not like professional or coaches, like just having somebody who's like, if you started working on this, then this is how your game would change. I think that the kids would connect it in a different way, and then they themselves would be more likely to be involved with DiscNY as they get older, because then they would know that they would be able to do those things in the future. So even though that's not a whole lot of outreach on how to get new people necessarily, I do think it would help us to keep the people that we do have coming back for new programs.
I'm going to jump on that very quickly. Yeah, that's something that we really want, and that I've been talking with other Try-U folks about, just like getting some retired players in as like coaches for other youth programs, so that we can build that out more and offer more there, because I think this is what I get into with youth programming stuff, but it's something we've really been trying to build so that people have resources there, and trying to connect more coaches to teams that are trying to start or try to hand over control, where one coach is stepping out. But it's really nice to hear that Caden is like really taking that to heart.
I'll go next as another, not really adding new people, but bringing in people. One of the features of the gala will be starting up our DiscNY Hall of Fame, because a lot of people in New York, when you stop playing, you kind of leave because other things take your attention. And so if we have a focal point once a year that brings those folks that aren't necessarily playing anymore, but still love this community wholeheartedly, to come back together, and to honor somebody that they may have played with or coach of theirs or what have you. So I'm really hoping to grab that audience back in and get them re-engaged in that way. And then, oh, the running. By just running for these races in DiscNY apparel, we're going to be showing our name to so many people that have never maybe heard of Frisbee or know that we exist. And I think that's a really important thing is the cross connections of runners typically run at a Frisbee field, and Frisbee players often switch to running. And so they kind of uh, collaborate really well. And if you're a runner, you don't necessarily know about DiscNY, and DiscNY doesn't necessarily know about New York Road Runners. So I'm excited to see how that kind of ebbs and flows in the next year. If we get both, we already have the half bibs, but I also applied us for the marathon bibs, which has thousands and thousands of people both running and cheering. And that we can make posters. We can be like, this is DiscNY. These are our posters. These are what we are. This is how we are. So I'm really excited to see what happens from that too.
Yeah, those are all really well said. Um, I think there's just so many ways to bring people back to the community, and I do think part of it sometimes, at least from my perspective, is knowing when to, jump onto someone else's idea and lend my time, energy, and resources to help bring something of theirs to fruition. And so I think for the next year or two, I'm looking forward to kind of jumping on someone else's bandwagon and lending my energy and efforts to that.
For people who maybe just joined, feel free to throw in the chat any questions you have or like raise your hand. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep asking because I have lots of questions always. Um, so yeah, I mean, I am curious. I know again we've heard from Shannon and Matt on this, but the two of you, like, do you have ideas for other fundraising efforts Dis New York can do? Because I know there's like a lot of potential for fundraising that we haven't really had resources or time to do. So curious from the two of you, Erin and Katie, if you have any ideas for fundraising for us.
Sure. I think that I was going to kind of like jump in, but I decided not to. But when Shannon was talking about re-engaging people who have left, it's like a really good way to get people to give a gift in somebody's honor, especially if you're honoring someone at a gala. So I think that is a really good way. So keep going. And then as far as development further, I think that we have the opportunity to develop a lot more of the parents in the high school league to, I mean, I don't know about all of the teams, and I think that I got lucky with the teams that we got onto. My kids started on Brooklyn Tech, and there's a lot of parent involvement there. And then when we started our team, we kind of just like really engage the parents a lot, and they all are super willing to volunteer. They're willing to donate and make sure every kid can be where they need to be. They're all willing. And I mean, I don't know if any of you guys have ever been to one of the high school league games during the week, but typically there's no parents at them. And our team pretty much had like at least half the team parents were there like every single game. And sometimes the players were like, okay, guys, you don't have to show up at every single game. But I think that there's a lot of parents who, like the New York City parents, your kids are doing a lot of stuff on their own. They are growing up really fast. And so I see a huge opportunity for us to engage a lot of those parents in volunteering and giving and making sure that other people have the opportunities that their kids are having. Because I can tell you, I already said this earlier, but I can tell you on the sideline of every single game or tournament or anything, all of the parents are just talking about how incredible Frisbee has been, how much it's changed their family, how much their kid loves it, how it's so good for like the teamwork and all of those things. And so to be able to take all of those people and have them spread the word and find easy ways for new kids to get involved or for people to give money towards something like that for other kids, I think it's a huge, huge opportunity. And a lot of the parents on this call would probably agree because some of them are from my team.
Yeah, I was going to say, Katie, this is Rachel. I'm sorry I'm not on camera, but I got the thing that everybody else has. So I'm just not feeling that great. But I did want to just echo Katie's you know, sense about having this parents be kind of this untapped potential. And I think on our team, actually, it has been pretty well tapped by Katie and Robbie and Alan. And there's just been so much communication and this feeling of like, this part of what will really make this a successful experience for the kids is to have all the parents pitching in addition to, Katie and Robbie being kind of the leaders and Alan dedicating his time as a coach. So, I can't imagine that parents from other groups are not can't similarly be mobilized. And I think, for example, some of the fundraising things we've done, like we did a bake sale, and like I can't see why that wouldn't work for the large, it seemed like a pretty easy way to make a lot of money in a short period of time. I don't know why something like that, pretty low tech kind of event, and also gave us an opportunity to really talk about Frisbee, which somebody mentioned this, like people just don't know much about Frisbee, and particularly they don't really know about kids playing Frisbee because it's not a peace out sport. So it's really sort of standing outside of a lot of what people really are familiar with. So, and just not to monopolize, but I did just want to say, think I'm one of those parents that is also not coming from the Frisbee world. I'm just coming from like being a parent and wanting my kid to be involved in things that feel really meaningful. And I think this has really been that for her, and joining the Magic team last year, and just and just everything that's so magical about Ultimate. So I don't know. I guess that's just another voice to support whatever we can do for the high school leagues, and and also just a thank you to all of you who are helping us just provide these amazing opportunities for kids that in my estimation desperately need positive influences in their lives that don't involve screens or other things that can have negative impact. So
Yeah, thanks, Rachel, for adding all of that. It's really nice to hear. I think, yeah, we've been talking about it for years that we want more parent involvement and to communicate more. So even the fact that you're here is bringing me a lot of joy. I think, Erin, did you have a response to the last question, the fundraising question?
So nothing like solid right now, but as I was saying earlier, so the grassroots program, like during summertime, we can maybe have like the kids have like a small camp, during summer, and then like we can they register for like the events, so just like the adult learning league but for the toddlers. And then I'm not sure if this is gonna work, but during like one time I played in the mud league, and a lot of parents were bringing their toddlers, and the toddlers were like just lying around in the sidelines and then throwing the disc. And I was thinking like maybe we can have like a daycare while their parents are playing, and we can teach the kids. We have this like soft discs, and just teach them, because some of them would also like try to get like wait for their nannies or like the um, babysitters, and they were just and in the sidelines. I'm like, we can actually teach these kids to play, and then they're gonna enjoy it because they're like they want to see people, or they want to mimic the adults that they're their parents. So nothing very solid right now, but that's like the idea, just to integrate the daycare, helping the adults, the parents manage their kids while they're playing, and like seeing them on the sidelines, just also enjoying the sport. So
Yeah, that's a great idea. I would definitely love to teach a toddler how to play frisbee. That sounds really fun for me. Um, yeah, so next question, again, if anyone has a question, raise your hand. So something I've particularly been involved with a lot in the last 4 years is our equity initiatives. So like, it's in our bylaw, not our bylaws, our mission statement that we aim to grow the sport of ultimate equitably, and that includes racially, class, and gender. Um, I helped work on the gender inclusion policy a couple years ago. We've had some anti-oppression leadership trainings, um, other kinds of trainings. So I'm curious from all of you what I guess what ideas you would have to help to make sure that we continue to grow equitably and in all of our programmings are thinking about access and how we can, grow in that way. So anyone who would like to answer or anything you'd want to see more of that you haven't really seen.
I'll say something. Um, I think that education will be a good big first step. Making sure that people understand why we're doing things that make it more equitable. And I think that the youth league has seen that some of the people are in the high school league can have some be quick to sort of like judge. I don't know exactly what they say, but there's a little bit of pushback on like the gender inclusivity and things like that. And I think that helping people to understand why we have like a girls and non-binary league and why it makes people feel more comfortable in some situations, I think that like it will really help us to educate those people and to help them to understand why. And then I also think that the idea that I was talking about earlier with giving the resources and tools to the teams to be able to raise money and give out scholarships will just increase the equity in being able to afford it. And for people to not even feel like they have to ask, that it's just built in. Because I know that's also a hard part where, like I always write in our emails, I always say like, make sure you reach out if you can't afford whatever, and we'll figure out a way to help you. But I know that sometimes without a system, it can be embarrassing for people to ask and things like that. So creating more systems where people just feel like this is part of it, I can just apply and I can get some help, then that is going to include more people.
For me, I think it's since I'm like new in New York, and I've met a lot of like people who just also transferred in New York. Um, they're looking for ways on how to be more active, like in the community, but they just don't know how. And I encourage them to like maybe you can start volunteering, and then but sometimes they think like it'll take a lot of their time. So maybe if we have like a program to train the volunteers, um, now they'll know that it doesn't take a lot of their time, like maybe just one season they can volunteer. So whenever we need people, even if like they're new to New York, but they've played in different places before, they can still teach something to the beginners, even just the beginners. I know the club teams can be like very intense. So, and also, hopefully, like there will be like more pickup in different areas, in different parks. There's so many parks in New York, and you just bring a disc and play with your friends, and then that's it. But it's sad sometimes that we don't have like people who actually like play frisbee. I've heard from the adult learning league participants before that like in the Bay Area there's not a lot of like players. In the Bronx, I work in the Bronx as a home health nurse, and I've seen like some people throwing like a small disc, and I wanted to stop and teach them how to play. um, and I'm like, there's like a really good opportunity to expand, not just in Brooklyn, not just in Manhattan, but maybe, one day we can teach some of the kids in the Bronx because there's still parks in there. And then there's people who would like to play. We had a participant, they were coming from Pelham Bay Park, which is like the end of the train 6. And they would go to Brooklyn just to play with us. So hopefully we can like expand to the Bronx also. So
I just want to echo, I agree. There's so much potential, and we're like most of our stuff is concentrated in really just like Astoria, parts of Brooklyn and Manhattan. So, we don't have a lot of a lot of stuff in Queens. We have almost nothing. I have nothing at all in the Bronx. So, yeah, you're right. Staten Island too. Sorry.
I was gonna
Matt or
say there's a
Shannon?
lot of potential in Staten Island.
Um, Shannon or Matt, did you have things to add to the equity question?
It looks like Will raised his hand.
Yeah, I was gonna go to that after just hearing from,
Sorry.
yeah.
I can go. I think, especially being on the inside for the last 2 years, it's really heartening to see how focused DiscNY is on equity. It's a part of all of our conversations. BCAP is always championing new trainings and working with Kunsa to really develop things that can be for now and also really sustainable as we continue to grow. I think other steps that we can keep focusing in on is as we bring in a lot of new folks with the Adult Learning League, a lot more parents. These ideas that I'm hearing from Erin and Katie are just awesome, but also coming up with the idea that folks of those areas may not understand how DiscNY operates within our equity source and what pay what you can is and why we did it. And so I think those that are in our community really get it. And those that are new, it's going to be a pretty new thing to learn. And so continuously having education, probably even doing some webinars recorded that are available that Erin can start sending out like, hey, we're so excited to bring you into our community. These are why DiscNY operates with such an equity lens and why it's so embedded and so important. And I think that will be really important to just really continue to ingrain this throughout all new people, as well as continuing to reinforce within our current community.
Yeah, really well said, Shannon. I think the big thing is just making sure that the resources are disseminated properly and that when we do have trainings, it's available to many people, not just, board members or just coaches. And I do think, echoing Erin's words, continuing to tear down language barriers is really important. So anywhere we can tap bilingual or trilingual people and put them in positions of leadership, I think that'd be really important going forward.
Awesome. And I think Will, do you have a question? Will Warren. Going once. Okay. Um, well, we are coming up on the end. So last call for questions, comments from anyone here. Cool. So yeah, thanks everyone for your thoughtful answers. I learned a lot about your ideas. I'm really excited. Um, the next steps for this board election is the voting period's going to start next week on the 12th, January 12th. I'll just copy and paste this into our chat so people can be looking at it. Yeah, so the voting period, which will be in like a Google form, um, the people who are eligible to vote are anyone who's participated in a DiscNY event within the last 2 years, which includes all of the high school league players, chaperones, and coaches. If people have questions, we're going to post something very detailed about that. So it should be even clearer than what I just said. And then we'll verify, make sure everyone who voted didn't vote twice, stuff like that. And then we'll confirm everyone on the 23rd. And we'll say goodbye to Kyla and Ruthie. Sad, very sad to see you both go. And then we'll start with our new board. So that is the process. Any questions on that? Any of that? And we'll post on social media and in the newsletter all of this too. So it should be clear. But yeah, thanks so much, everyone, for coming, and community members for being here as well, and new faces we haven't seen. It's all very exciting. So stay
Yes.
tuned.
Thank
Any
you.
last words? Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.